Hello and welcome to Free the Mind UK, a chat with a therapist. I am your host, Dave Carson, and I've got a fantastic guest tonight in the way of Maxine Buckley. And Maxine is a hypnotherapist, NLP master and trainer. And Maxine teaches the hypnotherapy diploma Kinetic Shift plus change work. She also mentors hypnotherapists with a kickstart business program. She helps people with addictions, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm really excited about this. But before I bring on Maxine, we're going to play our customary intro video. Here we go.
Not sure what therapy to choose? Free the Mind UK presents A Chat with a Therapist. Join us live for an up-close informal discussion of the various holistic therapies available, helping you make that important choice.
Here we go, Maxine, welcome. It's good to have you on the channel.
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure.
I'm just going to move my screen so you can see me better.
It's quite important, actually. Get all those things in the right way. Hopefully, my thing on my things keep going off on my computer, making a weird noise. Anyway, like I said,
sorry,
it is.
That's
perfect.
Sorry, no problem. How many technical problems have we had tonight?
Well, the people that are watching, we did have a few technical problems. We couldn't get Maxine actually on the screen, but we could hear her, and we if the worst came to the worst, we were going to go. Well, I was going to suggest to her that we go ahead with just hearing her, but it's always great to be able to see the person that we're talking to.
Definitely, yeah.
Absolutely. So Maxine, we're going to be talking about addictions tonight.
Yes.
I'm really excited about it, and we're going to be I'm probably talking about other addictions, but primarily with sugar, cocaine, alcohol, and chocolate. That's correct, yeah? So I'm just intrigued, Maxine, what brought you to this sort of work? What sort of led you to, therapy and helping people, especially addictions?
The addiction side of it, I mean, I started doing hypnotherapy a few years ago, but I found that a lot of women had sugar addiction or food addiction, where they don't know when to stop. And that's been really, really common, or emotionally eating, but addicted to sugar. And it's huge. And I stopped a few people. And then, of course, once you stop a few people eating sugar, and I don't mean sugar completely, but not being able to eat, normally the cakes, the chocolate, or the crisps or whatever it is, but normally sugar. So I stopped people from eating sugar, and then people kept coming to me. And the same happened with cocaine. So I helped a couple of guys, and they got me so many clients because it was really successful. Mm-hmm. So I kind of fell into it, and I've always had an interest in addictions. It always fascinates me because there's addictions and there's addictions. So there's addictions to things like your phone, scrolling, workaholic, all of those kind of what we would call more of a healthier, if that's the right way to say, addiction. But then there's obviously the cocaine addiction, the smoking, sugar, chocolate, and those sort of addictions that people want to give up. And that's what I really do, and that's what I love doing.
Wow, and what did you do before this work came into your life? I'm just intrigued.
So I was a hair and makeup artist for weddings. Oh, so wow. I did that for years, and I also had a photo booth, which was in a London black taxi. So the London black taxi would pull up, you get in the back, you have photos, and then get out. So I had several businesses. And I did a few different, I had a few different businesses, but I always knew that I didn't want to be in the wedding business forever. So I wanted to change, and I knew that I was always interested in hypnosis and helping people. So I ended up obviously studying, and you don't ever stop studying, right? You
don't. You really don't.
So, and now I teach. So now I teach hypnosis, and Kinetic Shift.
When did you first come across hypnosis then? Was this something like I came across it years ago, and it just ignited me interest, and then I ended up getting back into it many years later?
Well, I was always interested in it, but I didn't think I would be able to do it. I just thought, you know, I don't think I can do that. So I kind of done a really short online course, which was, at the time I didn't realise it was absolutely shockingly shit. And I just
a lot of them are, Maxine, a lot of them are.
Yeah, and I was like, well, let's try a few different things. But once I started, I became, well, addicted. I became obsessed and addicted to hypnosis. And it's been the same ever since. Now teaching it and seeing clients in my office. And I just love it. I can't get enough of it. And it is that ongoing studying.
It is. I find that myself. I'm always studying, or doing my best to study. Try to keep motivated to do it. But, you got to keep on top of things. There's always new things coming about and new techniques and
there's new research all the time. And that's the thing to keep on board as well, is especially with food, because 1 minute you should be eating this, and then you should be eating that, and that changes really a lot. And I see a lot of people for weight loss, and 1 minute they're sort of saying, oh, I should be eating carbs, and it's not, you shouldn't be eating carbs, and they're vegan. It changes all the time, and it's just really keeping on top of the latest research. Absolutely. And obviously you came across Carl Smith at some point, with Kinetic Shift. So I trained with Carl. I've done a lot of extensive training with him, and then I became one of his trainers. So I now teach for the academy. Do you actually teach Kinetic Shift, though? I teach hypnosis and Kinetic Shift. I teach past life regression. Oh, wow. And I have a diploma starting in January, which will be a full diploma online. So, yeah.
Busy lady, I love teaching. Yeah, you're saying you're a busy lady.
I am really busy. Absolutely. The teaching's brilliant. Yeah, I love the teaching. So I
must admit, I thought about teaching. I think I'd enjoy that, but I think maybe it will come along. I'm just about getting into public speaking at the moment, so that's my latest thing. But anyway, don't want to be talking about that. Can we talk a little bit about sugar, Maxine?
We can, yeah.
Super. So obviously, sugar is very addictive. They say sugar's nearly just as addictive as cocaine.
Yeah, definitely. And it becomes quite a habit as well. And it's also from our beliefs, as a lot of people that have been brought up as a child saying, oh, if you're a good girl, you can have some sweets, or if you eat all your dinner, you can have a dessert. It's always that reward. And of course, the reward is the dopamine kick we get from taking sugar, from eating sugar. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the brain looks for the dopamine. So when you're not on sugar, it's like, well, the brain's going, well, I want that dopamine. I want that kick, that feel good. So it's looking for it again. And of course, then the more we eat of it, the more we want. Yeah. So cutting that habit out. And also it becomes part of your personality. And it's like, Sandra in the office, who always likes a cream cake on a Friday or whatever it is. That's who she's known as. And as soon as you take that away, most of my clients, I get them to sort of say, not cut out sugar completely, but it's generally, you won't eat the whole packet of biscuits, or those sugary sweets are so sickly and sweet you don't want them, or you don't need them. I do have some clients that want to give up like sugar or chocolate altogether, and I've had that with one of my clients who was addicted to chocolate, and she won't mind me sharing this because she was getting up in the night to eat chocolate. Really? Wow. So real addiction. She would eat 4 Cadbury's cream eggs, give one each to her children, and then she'd eat the other 4. And she'd get up in the night to eat chocolate, like a whole bar of chocolate. Get up, eat a bar of chocolate, and go back to bed. And then get up another few hours later. And we stopped her from eating chocolate completely. Absolutely. I was doing a bit of research on it, and apparently the chocolate affects a neurotransmitter called enkephalin. I don't know if you've heard of that. And how it works is when you have you have like a piece of chocolate,
when this is ignited, it kicked off, it makes you want to eat more of the chocolate, you know, because I'm exactly the same. I'll tell you a little story about me, Maxine. It was about 10 years ago. It was about 20 years ago. I used to eat a lot of chocolate. And one day I watched some documentary about the kids chopping down the cocoa leaves or the pods or whatever it is to make the chocolate out of. And the next day, I never ate chocolate for 10 years. If someone put like, if I had a cappuccino and they put a sprinkle of chocolate on it, I'd send it back. I wouldn't. You'd have to pay me a lot of money to eat it. That's how strong I created this.
Really?
Yeah. To it, yeah. And then one day I was in Tesco's 10 years later, and I just naturally picked up a pack of 3 walnut whips and put them in the trolley. And I started eating chocolate again, but nothing like I used to. Do you know what I mean? So it's
and that's the change, isn't it? Because once you change, then that you know, you start to feel better in yourself and you don't miss it. But when you're in that moment of eating a lot of chocolate, then you just get used to it, and that's where the brain looks for it. But I do a lot of alcohol control as well, and your story, what you just said, was similar to me with alcohol. I watched a podcast about alcohol. It was purely for work, you know, for research. And it made me want to give up alcohol, and I stopped drinking for about a month or so, and it's been about 18 months now, and occasionally I have a drink, but it's very rare.
I don't drink very much at all, so like I've got no real need to stop it completely, if you know what I mean. I might even have like a pint of beer in like 2 weeks, do you know what I mean? But I know a lot of people, they're drinking 6 or 7 cans a night. And I know so many people that have died from alcoholism. It's crazy. Yeah, like unbelievable.
Yeah, alcohol's massive. I mean, because it's one of the only few substances that people want to take control of, or they want to give up drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
But other people encourage them. You know, if someone gives up smoking cigarettes, or if someone stops taking cocaine or sugar, it's like, oh, well done. But if someone says, oh, I'll stop drinking, it's like, oh, what do you want to do that for?
Yeah. I mean, you won't be able to go out with us at the weekend and all that business.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're so boring. Or what I think is you get sober confident. And when you give up drinking, when you stop drinking alcohol, I think things change. But yeah, alcohol, especially amongst women, that I have women that come to me and they drink a couple of bottles of wine a night. And they've just got into that habit of drinking every single night. So I get them to take control. So instead of drinking 2 bottles a night, they might only drink 1 or 2 glasses. Or they can, they'll say like, no, I don't need any more, I'm fine. And they stop at that. I've also done it. This is funny. My brother, big drinker. So he said to me, excuse me, he said to me, can you stop me drinking from Monday to Friday, so I can just drink Saturday and Sunday? So I said, well, I've never done that before, but I went, yeah, go on. So I hypnotised my brother to stop drinking during the week. Yeah. And it worked a treat. And then, of course, I started mentioning it to other clients. And they were like, oh, my God, I want to do that. So I started seeing clients to stop them drinking Monday to Friday.
I've got a confession to make. I used to smoke marijuana for like 20 years. You know, I'd have like 4 or 5 spliffs a day. I was still able to run my business and do whatever I did. It wasn't my therapy business then, but you know. But I stopped that for like 10, 15 years. And then I went to a party and I had a spliff, and it was like an old friend, you know. That's what it was like. And then I was able to only have a spliff on a Saturday night. I didn't smoke at any other time.
Yeah.
So
that's doable.
It's definitely doable, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a client who wanted to give up smoking. He was smoking joints, several joints a day. And he said, I just want to have 1 joint in the evening and that's it. So we did that for him. We stopped him smoking normal cigarettes and just said that he could have 1 joint in the evening. You do run the risk of it creeping back up. And if that should happen, then obviously you come back and have another session. Absolutely. But generally you can, take control, and that's the best thing, is to be able to sort of have control over what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what most people want. They want some sort of control. When to say no. That's the thing, isn't it?
It's interesting with myself. Like I know I'm very capable of doing it because I've done it several times and for long periods of time. But sometimes I'm just like, it's like a bit of a challenge. But I just want to go back to sugar for a minute, right? Because like a lot of people, they'll go for like the non-sugar stuff, but it's got sweeteners in it. And I think they're just as bad as sugar, aren't they?
Oh God,
I know when you stop. Yeah, exactly. When you stop taking them, there's quite a few adverse reactions, like anxiety. What was it? Let's see. Aspartame. Yeah, that's in a lot of stuff.
Aspartame, yeah.
And the withdrawal symptoms include mood swings, irritability, anxiety, fatigue, bloating, and diarrhea. It's like, so like someone who's like trying to give up sugar, they may go to something that says no added sugar, but it's got other like sweeteners.
But it's worse for you than anything else. And that's why I normally try to talk. So my camera keeps going off. I keep trying to get my camera straight. I get people to generally give up their sweeteners if they can. And once you've had that sort of discussion about sweeteners, what they do and how bad they are for you, we can normally get them to give them up.
Do you find which addiction do you find is most challenging? If it is challenging, is it sugar, chocolate, cocaine, or alcohol? From your experience,
I think. Do you know what? I find that smokers are the hardest.
Really?
Yeah, because it's weird because you'd think it would be cocaine, but actually the cocaine addicts I have great success with. Sugar can be a little bit because it's everywhere, and it's everywhere you look.
You need to. In some respects, it's like associated with eating, isn't it? When people go on diet,
it's got a ring.
They're surrounded by food all the time, and it's a necessity to life, to be a self-preservation. So, in that respect, it's a bit more of a challenge.
It is more of a challenge. But cocaine is where people will. There's not a lot of choices to give it up. You can go to rehab. You can go to the meetings, do the 12 steps, whatever it is, to get rid of your addiction. However, and they normally have cocaine comes with alcohol. They come hand in hand generally. But people that come to see me for cocaine tend to get off of it quite quickly.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. There's going to be lots of people on cocaine watching this. I'm telling you, they're all going to be giving you a call, Maxine.
Yeah, the cocaine, I tend to get people off cocaine after one session, and then I get them to do other things to help them, stay on track with that.
Yeah.
But I think smokers, they've always got an alternative with smokers. You can go on the patches, you can go on the vapes.
Yeah.
You can chew gum. It's like, I'll give hypnosis a try, but try being the operative word. And then smokers are the hardest. Cannabis, I help with cannabis, and that's okay because most people do that not in secret, but it's not public. You can't do it in public. Whereas smoking a cigarette, you can, obviously. Yeah. Vaping's a hard one.
Really?
Vaping, yeah. So what happens is people start vaping. It's like having, I call it an adult dummy because it's constantly in the mouth, and people are discreetly vaping. So they could be on a train or something like that, and it's covering up, having a quick vape. So I would say vaping is going to be massive, where it's hard to get rid of it.
They're talking about banning it as well, I think.
Yeah, and they're talking about upping the age on it because there's a lot of youngsters going for vaping.
And I'm talking with my daughters. There's lots of kids in their school who vape. Partly like smoking. Really, it's the cool thing to do. I think that's the way they think about it. It's like be part of the group and all that same old scenario.
And it's not that expensive either.
No, it's not. That's a good point.
And it's all like melon and lemon flavoured, and and it's absolute bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I find it interesting with alcohol, for instance, and alcohol, it kills a lot of people. It ruins a lot of families. And interestingly enough, it's legal, right? It's probably, I think it's, if I'm not sure, I think it's the biggest killer.
It is. It's one of the biggest killers. But also, if you come off of alcohol, it can be fatal.
Yeah.
Whereas cocaine, you can come off of cocaine, it won't kill you.
And the government get 12.4 billion revenue from it. I mean, I've got to be honest, if they banned it, I'd be a little bit upset, because obviously I don't take the piss with it. I'm of an occasional drink, so there'd be a lot of people upset about it. But
yeah, I mean, alcohol has come to light that it is really quite dangerous for the brain.
Yeah.
And can really affect the brain for quite a few days after drinking just one. And it was believed at one point that having one glass of wine is okay, and it's good for you. And it probably is if you're going out socially and it's helping you to socialise, and that's all good for us, for our mental health. But we also know that it can cause such a lot of anxiety and long-term effects of drinking too much. It affects the whole entire body. But it's one of the few substances that goes through the blood-brain barrier and kills cells in the brain.
Right.
So there's not many substances that will do that. And it's very, very addictive, but most people don't realise, because it's like a silent killer. It slowly kills you. And it's like I say to my clients, you want a slow suicide. You know, can you carry on drinking over the next 5 years, 10 years? You know, where will you be if you carry on drinking to the amount that you're drinking? And they go, oh, it's only 1 or 2 glasses of wine, or it's only 1 or 2 bottles, or whatever it is. But actually, you are damaging yourself. And if it was cocaine, we'd all be saying, give it up, stop. But it's very, very dangerous to be drinking, a long time.
Have you got any ideas about, like, some countries have made most drugs legal? Do you think that would make a difference, that they were actually made? Because one of the problems with drugs, I believe, is that you don't know what's in it. Well,
that's the thing, isn't it? With the guys that I see for cocaine, we talk about what's in it. And it doesn't come, does it, in the packet with a list of ingredients?
No.
And yet most of them, do you know what I mean? And it's like most of them will go, oh, I'm going to the gym, I'm doing this, I'm reading the bloody packet on, what's inside, the cornflakes or whatever I'm buying. And yet, I said, you're taking Coke, you don't come with a list of ingredients saying, yeah, it's got rat poison, it's got some cement in it, some baby powder. It doesn't have that. And it's not obviously regulated. So Trading Standard's not going to look at it. It's not going to look at it and go, well, by the way, we shouldn't really have this ingredients and that ingredients in it.
I should have researched it a bit more and saw whether there was like a massive drop in deaths and stuff from countries where it's all legal. I'm not sure. We've got Donna Wyatt. I think that's how you say it.
Hi, Donna.
Too easy to get alcohol, especially now Uber Eats delivers it.
I like your style, Donna.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I mean, giving up, having alcohol is too easily available, and it's all the pretty bottles, it's the pink gin, it's, all of those lovely, they all look lovely and so inviting, don't they? And, why wouldn't you like it? I mean, I don't drink much alcohol now, but back in, I'm thinking the only thing I like drinking is like something like Bailey's or Tia Maria, but it's just so acceptable, and it's almost like our culture, isn't it? Is to drink, and like Donna said, if you're getting it delivered. Having said that, I had a cocaine addict and she said to me she's got a couple of kids at home while she's doing coke, and she used to send a taxi to go and pick up her dealer, to go to her cash point, to get her money out, to pay him to drop the coke off. And they reckon it's easier to get cocaine delivered than it is a pizza.
Wow.
So, what kind of world? Well, that's the white world that I live in, where people are talking to me about their cocaine.
I'm actually surprised they ever made it all legal, because imagine the money they'd make the government. Yeah,
I mean, especially with like cannabis, and smoking cannabis. I see a few people for cannabis that just want to, it's too much, like I had a young girl that was smoking 14 joints a day, and by the time we got her off of it, she couldn't function, she couldn't work. But she ended up getting a job, leaving her boyfriend. She ended up really sorting her life out. And I think that it depends on the extreme of how much you're smoking.
Yeah, and you made an interesting point there in the fact that sometimes, like when I stopped smoking marijuana, I had to leave all my friends who smoked marijuana. So I made a conscious choice not, and I actually said to them, I said, look guys, I'm packing this in, so I won't be seeing much of you, because I knew, the effect, when they're all smoking and they're not smoking, I'm going to be like, oh, give us a split, let's have a puff. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what happens, isn't it? We've got Donna, she's on a roll here. What's she saying now? Snapchat delivers drugs. Oh my God, it's crazy. This is a good opportunity, by the way, for people that are watching right now. If you've got any questions about any of the addictions that you want to ask, then put it in the message box, and I'll put it on the screen so Maxine can answer your questions. So we're going from thing to thing here, but it is what it is, and it's all good. But so chocolate, yeah. One is, it's quite fattening, isn't it? I think like a bar of chocolate, one of them big ones, is about 900 calories in it.
Yeah, chocolate is very fattening. Dark chocolate's better, and it's better for you.
Yeah.
If you want to switch from milk chocolate to dark chocolate, that can be a start. I have some people that I'll say to them, instead of eating, say, a whole family bar, you'll only want 1 or 2 squares. I do that for a lot of people, and then they'll put the chocolate back. That's a really common session that I do. And people seem to like that, because they go, I feel like I've served my sugar rush, just like my little bit of sugar, my little bit of chocolate, but I'm not eating the whole bar, and that helps them lose weight, or to take it or leave it. Whereas a lot of people can't. They feel like they can't take the chocolate or leave it. It's got to be all or nothing.
One or the other, all or nothing. Yeah. Do you find in your work, do you using the unconscious, obviously, I assume, if you're using hypnotherapy, do you actually get it to focus on those reward centers or anything like that, or do you do it like a different...
I do with cocaine. So what I do with cocaine is I do something called DOSE, which is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, and that's about getting those feel-good chemicals up, because that's what they're missing, and getting them to do things like cold showers.
Yeah.
So when you take cocaine, your dopamine levels go up by 250%, and then they drop very quickly. Normally within 9 minutes, maybe 20 minutes if you're lucky, and they'll go below the baseline. And of course you feel shit then, and you feel really low, and then you want to take some more, bring it back up again. So cold showers, it brings it up by about 250%. You have a cold shower, and then it drops. It doesn't drop so fast. It will stay high, and it will stay longer, giving you that dopamine. So I get my clients to do stuff like that, and I do something called micro hypnosis, so they can listen to short recordings to try and keep them on track, and to do things like going to the gym and exercising, getting fresh air,
dopamine released.
All the things that are looking after your mental health, which is really, really important. And it's the same with alcohol, is like getting, changing the way that your mental health is, getting rid of some of that anxiety, so that they're sleeping better, so they're exercising, and they're just feeling better in themselves.
The cold water is a brilliant one, because I've got to get back into it, but I got to the point where I was showering for 3 minutes in freezing cold water and washing myself in it, and I started to enjoy it, and it's really good for your stress responses as well, isn't it? Because you are under the cold water, and your
mood
used to it, doesn't it? Sort of thing. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. The cold showers are brilliant. If you can get or do cold water therapy, it's really, really good for your mental health.
Good for inflammation as well in the body, apparently.
Yeah, definitely. Flu inflammation.
To suggest for people to do. I mean, no one probably looks forward to a freezing cold shower, but you do get used to it, like you do with anything if you do it. Donna again. Donna, we're loving you. Cold showers are amazing. So
Cold showers are, yeah. I started doing cold showers a while ago, and I'm the sort of person that likes the shower red hot. You know, I come out looking like a lobster most of the time. But I like having them, and now I can't be without them. And you know, I will start off warm and then go cooler. And you don't want to go too cold because you could give yourself a heart attack, especially my cocaine addicts, because they've got problems with their heart most of the time anyway. But yeah, cold showers, doing all those sort of things that help you, help your mental health. Eating good food, eating protein, exercising, getting sunlight.
You mentioned protein as well, because where did I have that? It was protein. I'll find it. I will find it. I've got it written down somewhere.
When we eat protein, it can really help.
Yeah, it's really good.
Things like turmeric and eating protein, which helps. Even eating chocolate is good in moderation, in dark chocolate.
Yeah.
That all gives you a nice little dopamine kick.
Yeah, it's supposed to. The protein's supposed to. I remember sort of a little bit. It's supposed to fill you up, and it actually, I believe, affects the neurotransmitter areas for the feel good thing. Protein. So plenty of protein, people. And what else was there?
And it is doing all those little things that kind of help. Yeah. And if you can, even if you don't do all of them, and you do a few of them, then that helps keep you on track. No, but the people that give up alcohol and sugar, actually, people that give up alcohol really see an improvement. I mean, I know personally that I really have seen a massive improvement in my health, mentally. You know, because I do study all the time. I found that I can absorb stuff a lot easier than I did, you know, a year or so ago. My head's a lot clearer, not so foggy. I get a lot more things done, a lot more focused, all of those things. And it's all from not drinking.
Through not drinking. So how much did you used to drink then? Was you like above the recommended amount? Or?
I used to drink, back in the day, I used to drink quite a lot. If I was going out, I'd be, you know, I'll drink anything. Never get hangover, doing shots, God knows what else. But I could really drink a lot. And then I would drink at home. I would have red wine. If I was going out, I'd drink Southern Comfort, anything really, basically. And now I don't hardly ever drink. It's really, really rare. can't remember the last time I had a drink. So it does makes a huge difference. Now if I go out with friends, I remember the first time I went out with some girlfriends, and they said, "Oh, you know, what do you want? Do you want a gin?" And I went, "No, I've stopped drinking." And they both just stood there with their glasses and nearly dropped them. I went, "What do you mean? What do you mean you don't drink?"
It's really weird. It's almost as though they need you to drink to be part of that thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And my parents are they're just absolutely devastated that I don't drink. Really? Oh my God, yeah. They're what do you mean you don't drink? Go and have a drink, enjoy yourself. I am enjoying myself. Yeah. But and that's the thing with alcohol.
Yeah. I had a friend that never had one drop of alcohol in his life to this day, not one drop. He just naturally wasn't interested in it. And obviously when he used to go out, it's, you know, people used to remark on it because it was quite unusual, but he was never tempted.
No.
Not many people like that, to be honest with you. I assumed everyone at some point in their life has had a drink, you know, because it's just there, isn't it? Parties, Christmas,
that's the problem, isn't it? Because like if you see an advert about alcohol, it's all young people having fun, you know, drink this gin, you're going to have a great time. You know, it's almost like Alice in Wonderland, isn't it? It's like, go and drink this, you'll have fun. Yeah. But you don't see the bad side of drinking. You don't see an advert saying, you know, drinking too much can cause anxiety, can cause health issues. can cause problems with the liver, the
And again,
brain.
it's all down to the government again, and I'm guessing they're thinking, look, we got 12.4 billion revenue from this. We can lose the cigarette with the advertisement, you know, that sort of thing, because obviously it was having a massive effect on the NHS, which was costing the government a lot of money, which is why I assume that was the main motive for actually trying to help people to stop it. But if it wasn't, they probably wouldn't.
Yeah, but I think
maybe I'm cynic, but
well, I agree with you. I think with it's like with smoking. There used to be years ago, smoking adverts for smoking, and people used to smoke on planes, didn't they? And trains used to have carriages that were for smokers. I mean, now that sounds mad. And I think what will happen with alcohol, I think it's that extreme, but I think we'll start realising we don't really need all that alcohol, and that, you know, it's not that great for us. But at the moment, it's very much a part of our culture.
It is, yeah, definitely, and in a lot of countries. We've got a little message of Sharon. Sharon, how are you, Sharon? Hope you're well.
Sharon.
Hope you're well. Hope you're fine. There's a famous saying, isn't it? He says that. I hope you're well. I hope you're fine. I forgot his name. Carl Smith, isn't it? Anyway, he always says that. He used to say it on his lives, didn't he?
Yeah, he does say it. He says it.
Everyone that was watching his lives, I was watching them doing the TikToks, and they'd be like, "Oh, hope you're well. Hope you're fine." They were all sort of picking it up. But anyway, protein off building blocks for the neurons to transfer your dopamine chemicals.
Yeah, that's why protein's so good.
Wow.
If you're coming off of alcohol, if you're coming off of cocaine, it's, you know, looking after yourself, isn't it?
Greek yogurt.
Yogurt, I like it.
So
that's good for the gut health as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because obviously alcohol completely destroys the gut.
Yeah.
I'm
really pleased that bacteria. I'm so pleased. Oh my God, I do other things, but you know, a bit of
yeah. So what Sharon's saying there about eating Greek yogurt, I mean, because the alcohol isn't good for the gut, it kills off all the good bacteria, and the Greek yogurt will help, obviously, putting back in the good bacteria as well. So, but it is getting that balance, isn't it, and not extreme with alcohol, I think. Especially at this time of the year, so much pressure to drink at the Christmas party or, you know, whatever.
Here we go. She's also take lion's mane.
Lion's mane. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that.
I've never heard it. I've heard a lot about it too. She seems to be on it. Oh, Sharon, mushroom supplements.
Yeah, a good thing.
So I wanted to ask you, Maxine, when you're primarily working with addictions, what technique do you mostly use? Do you use a bit of NLP as well as hypnosis? Or
I use NLP and hypnosis. The thing is, I am really, really brutal.
Yeah.
And there's no bullshit. I'm very direct with it, straight to the point. Most of the people that I see, and I tell them that I'm going to be brutal. And I might be saying things to them like, you know, can you carry on this way? If you carry on eating this sugar, diabetes, cancer, same with alcohol, all the things, what's detrimental to your health.
Is this while they're in hypnosis or when like when
it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Because,
you
know, when we're just sort of chatting, it's a bit like, well, why do you want to give up drinking? You know, why do you want to cut back on your sugar? Why do you want to stop taking cocaine? And then they normally say, you know, I've got to worry about my health, other health or other reasons. But then I'm really brutal with them when I say to them, you know, if you should die because of cocaine, or if you should, you know, 10 years time, what do you look like as someone who drinks too much? Where will you be? What will your children think of you? How about if you're on your deathbed and you're looking back, screaming at yourself, thinking, why didn't you give up drinking, you know, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when you thought you know, that you should have done it? So, and then an emotional detox, getting rid of a lot of their shit. Now, it doesn't matter whether you dropped your ice cream or you witnessed a murder. It's about letting your shit go. So
Absolutely.
once you do an emotional detox, get rid of everything. And that really helps.
I love that. Doesn't matter if you drop your ice cream, because that can be quite traumatic, Maxine.
Well, it can be. It's one of those things.
Especially as the ice cream man's just buggered up and you've got like just a corner.
It's true. So, and it's being that, letting go of your shit. And most people come to me, they go, oh, you know, this happened when I was 10 or that happened when I was 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. It's what happens and how the subconscious mind dealt with it. And that's so then I say to them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, whether you dropped your ice cream and witnessed a murder. So it's about letting go of that. And then putting in about their families, from their perspective. You know, who's going to step in if they should die or if something should happen to them? Who's going to step into their shoes? And I know this is really, like, I say to my clients, don't take this personally, but I will say to them, like, who's going to be sleeping with your wife?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to be taking your daughter to her wedding day, on her wedding day? Who's going to be looking after your children?
Yeah.
And this is something that you can stop, that you have control over.
Yeah.
And then obviously putting in confidence and feeling better in themselves. I use metaphors, quite a lot of metaphors, with giving up certain foods or alcohol or cocaine, depending on the client. So I have a metaphor that I use that's like the bully, and that's about this bully comes round and it takes your money. Every week. It takes your money, it takes you away from your family. You put that white stuff up your nose that is slowly killing you. Basically, you're on a slow suicide. It will kill you. Your children will remember you as the junkie that died because you had coke or alcohol, and you're ill because of it. And I am really, really brutal. Really brutal.
I went online a while ago and there was a little mini video on there. It was the bus, right? And the bus was going the same old route down the same old streets, you know, like the same old cycle. And there was a load of bullies on the back of the bus. And the guy at the front was like, oh, I really want to get off here. And they were like, see you get off here, you're in big trouble. We're in control of the bus. You'll stay on and all that. Like what you're talking about with the bully. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, because the brain will pick it up and pattern it and it will relate to it. So you don't have to explain what the metaphor means.
Yeah.
And it could be just talking, because if that bully was coming around every week and taking your money and taking your life and harming your children or whatever, stopping you from having your best life. If it was a person, you'd tell them to go and do one, wouldn't you? You wouldn't put up with it. Yeah. But you're allowing this substance to do this to you. Yeah. And when they start looking at it like that, especially men, and they suddenly start seeing it from a different perspective, and they go, yeah, I'm not putting up with that anymore. And also the people that they're with, if they're going down the pub, or like one of the guys that was on cocaine, he said they come in the office, and he said they come in the office, it's Friday night, and they almost expect me to give them a packet every Friday night, and it's not their wages. That's a packet of the coke, and that's all part of their sort of bonus, if you like, on a Friday night.
Wow! And I bet you that happens a lot.
It's hard, to get out of that habit, to stop that.
Again, it's that association as well, isn't it? It's like having to. There's quite a few things, there's quite a bit of responsibility behind, giving up something like that. Avoiding those triggers and stuff like that. So. Well,
that's the thing, isn't it? Because like with people that go into rehab for cocaine, they go into rehab and they'll give it up for how many weeks they're in there. Yeah. And then they come out, and of course they're back in the environment of where everything around them is reminding them of all of those kind of triggers. And it's about really behaving yourself and knowing that you don't have to go into that pub. You don't have to have that line of coke. You can say no, and having the confidence to say no. And that's really important.
I was going to talk about the rat park we were talking
about. So interesting, such an interesting experiment with the rats, where they originally they put them into one rat. It was isolated, and they said that isolation is the worst thing that we can do for humans, and that's what they did to the rat. And of course, it wanted the cocaine, and it was taking cocaine. I don't think it was actually cocaine. I think it was.
It was a combination of cocaine and heroin.
Alcohol.
It was maybe have one of each or something, and that was its main. It had like the normal water supply and that one, and when they had that, they obviously kept going back to that because it made them feel good because they were in isolation.
Yeah, that was isolated.
They had nothing else for them to occupy themselves, and then they brought in. They made this incredible enclosure with little toys. They let the rats roam about. They let the rats have sex.
It's like rats amusement park.
Yeah, exactly. And
come to Disneyland.
Yes, exactly. And they found this incredible percentage of them stopped taking the cocaine, heroin, water. A small percentage. Did carry on, but it just showed you that in the right environment, in a supportive environment.
And that's about it. A lot to do with it is supportive.
Go in the gym and getting the endorphins and dopamine that way or whatever. And like what you mentioned before, I think they did a similar experiment with the American Army guys coming back from Vietnam, because a lot of them were on cocaine or heroin out there to just get through it. And a massive percentage of them, when they came back and went back to their families that were really supportive, they didn't need to have it anymore. Again, only a small percentage carried on.
Changing the environment.
Yeah, exactly. And the point you made about emotional detox, which is, for anyone who's watching, it's a sort of hypnotherapy technique where we get people to release their shit, basically, let it just rise out of them and stuff. And that's paramount, because a lot of these things have an emotional base, don't they? It's
definitely. And a lot of people with an addiction, they say it comes from some sort of trauma. Not always, but it can come from trauma. And once you let go of your trauma, then that can really, really help. As we know, I mean, letting go of your trauma, whatever that is, then that can help you in all aspects of your life anyway. Absolutely. And it's the same it's no different whether you're on, drinking too much alcohol, whether you're addicted to Netflix or you're addicted to social media or sex or gambling, whatever it is. An emotional detox is really, really does help with most things. And then it's about putting in suggestions and metaphors, and then having coping, like having tools to use. So I would use tapping to help with getting you through it for those darkest moments. The recordings, I have short recordings, and anything else that you can do, and eating well, looking after yourself, cold showers, all of those things that can really, really help.
I find it fascinating with the unconscious mind, right? That there's this supposition in NLP that everything we do has there's a positive intention behind it. Our unconscious mind thinks it's helping us. So the person who won't go in the lift, it's like they're thinking, oh, it's that they're part of them helping them, to avoid it, so that they're safe and everything else. So I just find it fascinating that when we get access to the unconscious mind, that you can sort of explain to it, that you have to explain to it that, look, there's more healthier ways to do this, and Jimmy will really benefit from this.
It's the bullshit you're telling yourself.
The what?
It's the bullshit you've been telling yourself, and that's what I say to my clients. It's the bullshit. Oh, so and so, they lived till they was 110 and they smoked 20 fags a day. There's the person that says, oh, I don't put any weight on. I can eat as much sugar as I want. I can drink anyone under the table. Whatever bullshit you've been telling yourself. And when you take that bullshit away, then the subconscious mind goes, oh, hang on a minute.
Exactly.
I didn't realise that.
I just want to interject here and tell everyone about a book called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by, I think he's a Dutch guy called Shad Heimster. What an amazing book. It's thin as you like, but it's all about what you say to yourself. And I see so many people empowering themselves with the behaviors they don't want. They own it. It's like, I am this, And it's really important, I think, to obviously get onto that as well, and explain about self-talk, and it's all about giving the brain or the part of the unconscious or whatever that actually, this, there's a different way. They don't want to, they're not owning this anymore. Maybe they don't want me to do
take responsibility for it. And that's what I say to my clients, take responsibility. And it is the bullshit, because if you're saying to yourself, and so many women do this, I only have to look at a donut and it goes straight on my hips.
Exactly.
How many women say that?
Exactly that. It's like, what
they
the
do,
fuck?
don't they? They go, if I look at that donut, it's going to go straight on my hips.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. Yeah. And of course, then the subconscious mind goes, oh, there you go. There's that. We'll put that on your hips for you.
I think on some level we're all guilty of this negative
self.
Oh,
totally.
Like I'll sometimes be driving and I get pissed off at a driver in front of me. Not like, raging or anything like that. But I am aware of it. And it's like, Dave, do you really have to do that? You know what I mean? It's like, or I'll say, what a wanker,
Oh my God. I tell all my clients this. So before I had my emotional detox, I used to, after I had an emotional detox, I stopped screaming and shouting at the kids. I stopped calling everyone a wanker in the car. Yeah. I started to look after my business. I started to eat better. Yeah. All of these things, focusing, all of these things started to fall into place after I had an emotional detox. And I think that everyone should have an emotional detox. And I have kids that come and see me, not normally for addiction, but for anxiety or whatever. And I give them an emotional detox. And it's just letting go of whatever has happened. Yeah. And that goes back to, you dropped your ice cream or you witnessed murder. It doesn't really matter. It's really, an emotional detox will get rid of a lot of your stuff. And now I have clients that will come and see me and they go, I just need that emotional detox to keep me on track, to keep my mental health in order. And of course, things happen, don't they? Traumas happen or whatever happens in your life. And you need to let go of some of that stuff, whatever it is. And that really, really helps. And that's where we start when we're, as we say, the body keeps the score, as the well-known book says, the body keeps the score. But it affects our body. So it's about looking after ourselves for the long term. If you want a healthy mind and a healthy body, then you've got to look after yourself, haven't you? Because no one else is going to do it for you.
No, exactly.
It's being accountable.
A lot of people are always doing things for other people. It's like that's their will. They're constantly doing stuff for others, and they forget about themselves. They get lost in that.
Yeah. And I always say it to clients, especially mums, because I think they tend to, they put their kids first. They be, put everyone else first. Yeah. And I go, but what's going to happen if you're not here? Mm-hmm. What happens there?
That's a good one. I like that.
Who's going to look after your kids?
Okay, until there's more support for addictions, any sort, they will never tackle this problem.
Yeah, you're right. And that's the problem with addictions. There's not enough support. Yeah. Especially for cocaine, you can go to the meetings for the rest of your life. And that kind of annoys me, actually, because if someone smokes a cigarette for years and years and years and then they give up, they don't have meetings about giving up smoking cigarettes. They give up and then that's it. Mm-hmm. But with cocaine or alcohol, it's like you've got to go to these meetings every month. Yeah. And stand up and say that you're an alcoholic or whatever.
Yeah, it's a bit weird one, that, isn't it? It's like the old, reinforcing something you're trying to get away from.
Addictions are not just substances, are they? It's other addictions like your phone, your social media. Yeah. Watching telly.
Yeah, I haven't got a telly, Maxine.
No, I haven't.
3 years. Brilliant. Best thing I ever did. Now I've got the phone. What was I going to say to you? I've got some sort of friends, and they were all addicts. Lovely people, and they did the 12 steps and stuff, and they used to go to the meetings, and they said the percentage of people that succeeded in it was very, very low, like 3%, 2%. But this particular group of guys, they used to go on trips hiking. They'd jump off Vanarasi Dam or wherever it is in Switzerland. They'd go skydiving, and they were like a group of people that really was like a close knit family, and they all supported each other. And again, it's like rat park. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I think a lot of addicts need that that purpose, that community, and that's what people say about addicts is they need that purpose in life.
Yeah.
And that's what.
So how do you deal with someone who comes to see you and they haven't got any family, they're like loners, it must be quite
I don't really get people like that, funny enough. Most of my I see really the cocaine addicts are normally family men.
Yeah.
That take it. Most of the time they're taking it at home when their kids are downstairs playing. They run their own businesses. They're busy men.
Mm-hmm.
And the alcohol, it's mostly women. I mostly see women that drink too much, and they feel under pressure to drink wine of a night. It's almost like a ritual.
Is this women that are in a family or single women?
Yeah, they're normally family. They're normally like the kids have gone to bed. It's my time now. I'm going to sit down and have a glass of wine, or I've just finished work. I'm going to go home. I'm going to have a glass of wine. Mm-hmm. It's their treat. Or the kids are in bed now. It's my time. And the best thing to do is to sit down and drink and watch a bit of telly, or forget about the day.
Yeah, instead of going home and I'm going to have a meditate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's hard, if you're a mum, especially if you're, or a single mum, or any, and you're working, and I'm not saying men don't have that, but women,
I always think it's difficult for ladies. They go to work, which is that they never, in the older days, they tended to be at home. Always, but generally nowadays most of them work. Most of the ladies go to work, and then they've still got to sort all the kids out, and often organize the house and everything.
Yeah, and they're under a lot of pressure. I think men and women are, but under a lot of pressure to be the perfect mum, and to look after their kids and bring up their kids the best they can, and the kids are under a lot of pressure to be perfect, to have the best best education, best clothes, best trainers. And I think that's where a lot of mums, and I've had mums that have come in and they're going to feel under pressure to drink, because some of the mums in the playground are like, oh God, I drank a bottle of wine last night. And they're like, I needed a bottle of wine. It's almost like, it's our culture.
To be able to let go of all the stress. It's like when people take heroin. I've never taken heroin, but one of my ex-girlfriends was a heroin addict when I was living in Liverpool, which is quite understandable in Liverpool. But, where I lived anyway, and it sort of takes you away from everything. It gets rid of all the pain apparently, and it sort of makes sense why people would take that if they've got really shitty lives, where they've just got nowhere, nothing to look forward to, that sort of thing. I understand,
Yeah, and I think that's important, isn't it, to be putting in their future and looking at the future, because on the path they're at the moment is the slow suicide, where they're going to die from this. There's more to life than taking drugs or drinking too much or eating too much sugar or whatever it is that you're doing. It's about taking control, and at the moment you're not in control, and it's switching over to the other path and becoming more in control, and moving forward so that you can have that better life, to be a healthier, fitter person, not just for, and this is really important, not about everyone else, but for yourself. It's about looking after you, and that's so important, I think.
So important, absolutely. I always say, it's like you got to learn to love yourself, to respect yourself and to realize your value. Because I've got this little saying, according to me, everyone's a beautiful manifestation of existence, and it's so true. You can't deny that. You can't deny it, because we are. Do you know what I mean? And it's sort of connecting back with that on some level. It's and people do it in different ways, don't they? They go on a spiritual path and they read some books, or they do meditation, they go to yoga. There's lots of things out there to help people sort of connect with themselves more, definitely.
I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they're not connecting. They're living in that, in denial, and denial's huge with addiction, because it's so easy to say, you know, oh, I'm all right, you know, I have a few glasses of wine, I eat a little bit too much sugar, you know, and that's back to the bullshit that you're telling yourself. You're in denial. And once you come for help, and once you come off of whatever your, you know, your extreme, your addiction or your habit, whatever it is, then you really start to live in. And I've experienced that myself with alcohol. And I can go down that slippery slope with sugar. I can get to that point where I'm eating too much cake or too much sugar, too much sweets or whatever.
I'm like you, Maxine. I can too, because I, as well as doing my therapy work, which is part-time, I also on the road a lot, driving, and you know, it's a fucking nightmare, because you know, you got access to like the garages, Greg's and the garages, you know, they've really
most of my clients are like that.
Yeah, and I'll, you know, like if I might do a 16-hour day, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm having a can of Monster. Do you know what I mean?
Oh God,
I know. But at the same token, right, I have a fresh juice every morning with cabbage and carrots, and so I'm
that's
obviously...
the bullshit you're telling yourself. It's all right, because I've had some cabbage, so it's fine. I can
well,
eat.
no, what
I
it's not. I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking, you know, it is what it is. But at least I am actively, you know, doing other stuff as well. If I didn't have that,
I think if you're halfway there, then that's all right. But there are a lot of people that's the bullshit that, you know, and I'm coming in, they go, I'm doing, like, at the weekend, I'm doing line after line, you know, packets of cocaine, or I'm drinking, you know, bottles and bottles of wine or gin or whatever they're doing. And then they go, during the week, I'm eating healthy, good food, and I'm looking after myself. The most common thing is women that go all day long, they eat really healthy, good food. And then overnight, I sit there, I have a bottle of wine, and then I'm eating shit. You know, anything I can find in the cupboards, I'm eating it. Party food, you know, biscuits, sweets, it doesn't matter. And it's pointless, because you're kind of looking after yourself most of the day, and then it goes out the window overnight. So it's just changing those habits. And once you start changing the habits, then you start feeling better in yourself.
So I like to be in control, right? I like to be the captain of my ship, So like there always comes a point where I'm like, you know, I'm not doing this anymore. Do you know what I mean? And I don't do it, but I can do it again, you know. So it's like, it's a bit of a weird one, personally, you know. But yeah.
There's a lot to addictions, I think. I think there's so much to it. And it's there's also like cross addiction, isn't there, where people will let go of one addiction and then pick up another one instead. Replacing.
With the guys that I know, right, who were ex-addicts, they've all got, it appears, addictive personalities. And what they've done is they've transferred those bad addictions into what you could call good addiction, like going to the gym, but being obsessed about it, you know. And really, like, probably more so than your normal person who hasn't got addiction problems. So I think on somewhere possibly some people are possibly more predetermined to be, you know, have that sort of addictive personality, because when they give up their bad addictions, they tend to go into, I mean, I'd rather have an obsessive behavior towards going to the gym than drinking a bottle of wine every night. Do you know what I mean? Still an addiction, but it's, you know, it's helping my body and stuff and keeping me fit. And
definitely. And that's what I get from most of my clients is I say to them, well, what do you want to do in that time that you could be getting drunk, or you know, do you want to go to the gym? Do you want to be walking the dog? Do you want to be reading a book or whatever? So it's what's going to be right.
So tell us what happens in a typical session. So people watching this now who may very well get in contact with you, Maxine, and want to work with you, how does it work? What's your sort of, you know, so people have an idea of what to expect when they see you?
Well, first of all, they have to be at threshold. They have to be ready. Hypnosis isn't a magic wand. They can't just come to the session and expect miracles. They've got to be a bit accountable, and they've got to be ready to make changes. So my consultation's quite long. I normally go through quite a lot on the consultation on why you want to give up whatever it is you're going to give up, or cut back, or control. But during a session, they're normally with me for about 2 hours, and in that time we do quite a lot. We talk about their families, what they want from life, how much they're spending on their problem. Obviously that can vary. Cakes and biscuits don't cost a lot of money. Vaping doesn't cost a lot of money. But what are the long-term effects? Obviously cocaine or gambling or something like that, well, it's obviously costing you money. And then we look at, can you carry on like this? And where will you be in 5 years' time? Where will you be in 10 years' time? And your perspective of other people seeing you. That's normally children, loved ones, work colleagues, whatever it is. Like I said earlier, it's about the emotional detox, letting go of your shit, whatever that is. And then we normally do things like, it depends on the client, but it's about them seeing themselves as that drunk, or them seeing themselves eating all of those cakes, and how many cakes have they eaten over the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and kind of looking at that. And do you want to eat that over the next few months ahead of you? And then putting in confidence and stepping into that new you, that brilliant you, that one that doesn't eat so many cakes, or that slimmer you, that healthier you, whether that's the one that's much more confident, who's much more positive, who's got a clear mind, or whatever the outcome is of not drinking or not taking so much sugar, and how that's going to affect not just them but everyone else around them, and how better their life will be in the future. And I think that's really important, is seeing what the change is going to be like. If they're drinking a lot, there's also a lot of calories, empty calories in drinking a lot. So a lot of women think, oh my God, like if I was to just cut out drinking, then I know that I could be a lot slimmer, a lot healthier. And it's also about their skin and everything else that it affects. The same with smoking, and cannabis and cocaine. What are the long-term effects, and can you carry on doing this? And then we kind of take it from there. And I normally give them a few days, because as you know, when you have an emotional detox, it can take a few days to let the dust settle.
It's like a snow globe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shaking it about, then it will settle.
Let it settle. It's all fizzing around, and you need to let it settle. And then I give them the micro hypnosis, which is 2 minutes. And if you haven't got time to listen to my recording that's 2 minutes long, then that's your homework. Get that done. And tapping. So because I'm trained in EFT and TFT, so I give them a very short tapping sequence that they can do to help them stay on track for those moments of darkness.
I think it's a great technique, Maxine.
Yeah, I do a 6-frame tapping technique, which is really good. So that they can, keep on board, carry on with that when they're at home, and they can do that for the future. So that's more or less what we will be doing. But I keep in contact with my clients. So once they've had their first session, and I normally speak to them, it could be 3 days, it could be a week or so. Some people get in contact quicker than others. And then I'll message them saying how you're getting on, and if there's any sort of times where they're feeling a bit, feel like they're falling off the wagon, so to speak.
Go on.
And that depends on the person and how much. It doesn't really matter how much they're taking. It depends on the person and how determined they are to make a change.
And how close they are to that threshold, like you were talking about.
Yeah. Because some people will come to me and they're going. And we've all had it. If you work in the industry as a therapist, but my wife wants me to give up smoking. She hates the smell, but I love it.
You're gonna struggle with that one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then And we can do parts therapy, and we can do stuff and find out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because there's some parts. There's always a bit of a conflict going on. They want to stop, but the other parts like, no, fuck you. This is helping us out. It's making us feel good. Yeah. How many sessions normally? I know it's a bit of everyone's different.
Sugar and alcohol is only one session.
Really? Wow.
One session, they're off. Smoking's one, sometimes two.
Yeah.
Cocaine, I normally see them for two, but sometimes I need to see them for more. I normally see them a few months later because cocaine can give you, you can still crave it for quite a long time. So it depends. But most people, they'll have one session and they'll notice the difference after one session. If they don't, I want to know why.
And I'm guessing when you first started doing this and it was working really well, you realized that you could use these techniques for all addictions, really. So, someone came for
definitely.
Smoking, drugs, whatever.
Yeah, and addictions could be anything. I mean, I see people that are addicted to Coca-Cola and can't stop drinking it. Or I had a lady who was addicted to eating Kit Kats. And I had another woman who's addicted to eating Milky Ways. I made her believe that the inside of the Milky Way was lard. And I got her to imagine that she was eating the lard, which was the white fluffy bit in the inside. And she was like... So we do that with people. And I've had it with, I had a guy that I told him that if he was to take cocaine again, he would be physically sick. And he said to me, he had a what he called a cheeky line. And he said, I literally threw up everywhere. He said, and I was sick. He said, and I can't take that ever again. Some people don't have that. They don't, you might put in that suggestion and they might not take it on board, and some people will. And other people, I had the woman that I was telling you about with the chocolate addict who was eating it all through the night. I happened to have some chocolate in the office when she was with me, and it was already open. I said, do you want this chocolate? It's here. Do you want it? And she was like, well, no, I can't. I can't go near it.
That's really good.
And some people are like that. They'll be really at the extreme. Or they say to me, I put my hand over the glass and went, no, I don't want any more. That's quite a common thing where I get them to sort of say, no, I'm done. And they even say to me, as those words left my mouth, I can't believe I actually said it, because they've refused to drink or they've refused a cake. Or someone in the office has said, oh, I've just bought a load of cakes. Do you want one? And they go, oh, no, I'm fine, thanks. And they go, oh, my God, I can't believe I've said that. They message me, oh, my God, I've just said no to cakes. It's brilliant. Or they've got home, or they've got to the end of the week. Or like one of my clients said, he got to the end of the week and his wife said to him, she didn't know that he'd had hypnotherapy. And she went, I don't know what's wrong with you, but she went, but every night you've left something on your plate. And it was one of the things that I'd put in. And I said to him that I do portion control. Yeah. So he said, as a child who's always told you've got to eat everything on your plate.
Exactly that way. Yeah.
So I said to him, you're going to feel really good when you've left a little bit on your plate. And his wife at the end of the week was like, what is wrong with you? You've left your chips, you've left some potato, you've left food every night, you've not been eating properly. Wow. Didn't even notice it. And of course, he naturally lost weight because he wasn't eating as much.
But if people wanted to, I mean, I assume you would definitely work online, is that right?
I work online and I work face to face. I'm based in Billericay, in Ramsden Heath in Billericay, Essex. But I do work online as well.
So obviously, people that live a bit far away from you, they can contact you and do an online session, which work just the same as face. I've got to be honest, I do prefer face to face.
Yeah,
if I'm brutally honest, and I think all therapists would say that, but it seems to work just as well online.
Yeah, I see loads of people.
I think a lot of it is, trust as well, and connecting with the therapist. And I think you may well get that maybe a bit more because of that energy exchange in close proximity with each other, in a physical locality. But
Yeah.
you know, the online work works just as well for me. So in what I do.
Yeah, well, I've obviously got the office here, but I like seeing face to face. I like seeing other people's energy and all the rest of it. Just
But the beautiful thing about online is you can reach people from all over the world. You know, there are people who and they want to work with you, and it can still work. You know, it can still be as successful. So that's great. And that all came along because of COVID. So something good came out of COVID for us therapists.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was seeing people online before COVID, but then COVID was like, people don't believe that you can help them with hypnosis online.
Yeah.
So when you tell them that, they're like, oh, really? It seems a bit odd, but
yeah. I find that with lots of it, like I do the integral eye movement therapy, and they're like, really, you can work online? Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Rextus as well, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
It's all good.
And I just want to take the opportunity to say to people that are watching now, if you'd like to support the channel and go off to the YouTube channel, which is Free the Mind UK, Chat with a Therapist, and give us a subscribe, it'd be amazing, because it does help with the algorithms, and the videos go out to more people, they show more videos, and people get to see interesting videos like Maxine talking about addictions and what can be done and everything else. So yeah, it's all good. And next week, I've written this down because I knew. Do you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Next week, I've got Nicolette Kaiser on, who's going to be talking about living off grid. She actually set up a community in Transylvania.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she had already had a bit of experience in communities up in Findhorn and Glastonbury, and then she went whole hog and moved over there and set up this community where there was loads of bears running about in the forest, you know, to the point where they had to give it up because the bears was getting too dangerous. One of them was going to get murdered by a bear. Bears can run 45 miles an hour and run up trees, so you have to be a fast runner to escape one of them. But anyway, I've got Nicolette on next.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, and funny enough, the weekend after that, I've got another lady on, and Bryony Best, right, best-selling author, who was a coke addict. She was a drug addict, alcoholic, absolute nutter when she was younger.
Yeah.
And then she turned her life around. So I think it'd be great to share that as well. It's a shame I didn't have her on next week, because it would have followed on from your one, you know.
Yeah.
But she's on in January.
That's good. So you've got quite a lot of good people coming on.
Yeah. I'm always looking. If anyone's watching and they want to share what they do in any sort of capacity where it helps people, then I'm always interested to hear about it, definitely. And I'm sure other people would be as well. Be amazing. Oh yeah, what's this? We're going to be wrapping up in a minute, everybody. My heart breaks when I see homeless people asleep on the street, knowing that they're cause of bad luck. And when you see them drinking alcohol, you know they're trying to escape their reality. That's quite true, Sharon. It's very, very true. Yeah. And Donna says, thank you, Maxine. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Thank you, Donna, for all your little messages and stuff.
Yeah, thank you for all your questions.
Absolutely, that was the right word I was thinking of.
Yeah, thank you for the questions. And if anyone wants any more information, feel free to message me, and you can get me on Facebook, TikTok.
Yeah, this is Maxine's TikTok channel.
TikTok, so you can get me on TikTok.
You can make a note of that and check her out.
Yeah, if you've got any questions at all, I'm always happy to help.
Absolutely. Just before we go, Maxine, have you ever thought about doing like an addictions training for therapists?
I already have.
Really? I missed it. How come you didn't tell me about it?
I know. Yeah. I'm teaching. Well, actually, I'm teaching a diploma, the hypnotherapy, and it's not on that website. It's on a different website. But I'm teaching the diploma, and I'll be teaching addictions. Will be included in that. And I'll be teaching. And then a week ago, I did it the first time. I did a 2-hour.
It's like a work
on alcohol control.
A work.
And that's therapist.
Okay, well, if you've got another workshop coming up,
I was just trying it out because I wanted to see what it was like, to be honest.
okay.
And it went well. So I will be doing more sort of stuff like that.
If you've got an addictions workshop, give me a shout, yeah, because I'll definitely be interested in because I think it's a great area to work in, definitely.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing one just for addictions and doing a bit more with it. I've got a lot going on with training.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a busy lady.
So, with the past life regression courses that I do, and the diploma and Kinetic Shift and stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah, all good.
Well, look, what can I say? Thank you so much, Maxine, for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Valuable information, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of people out there that are going to, because obviously people are going to watch the recording. It's going to be on YouTube, and I often reshare the videos for people to get another opportunity to check it out and stuff. And I can send you a recording of it if you want, so you can.
Yes, please. That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
So yeah, and I just want to take this opportunity to say to everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in. It's always great to have you tuning in. And if you want to check out next week's chat with Nicolette, we'll be live at 7:30 again next Sunday. So on that note, I wish you all good night.
Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, everybody.